want to pick them because I'm just a fan of them, but that would be like my biased pick. Yo, 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 what's happening? What's happening? You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with my homie and my co-host, the homie Kai. What's popping?
What's good? What's good, man? It's a brand new day, man. Brand new day for NBA play.
Yeah, yeah. Season starting today. But before we get all that started and the show rolling, make sure you follow all of our socials right there on the screen. Mine are that name that you see on the screen is for TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. If you add an underscore, it's for Twitter. Make sure you go on our individual page for the show itself on Instagram at J.U.K Sports Show. Make sure you go and follow Kai as well at B.House of Hoops for all basketball analysis now that the season is up and running.
Yeah.
We already had our discussion because he had something to say about the Bulls at coming in at 9. I'm like, whoa, bro, we gotta talk.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. That's his perspective, and he gives a great in-depth analysis.
Appreciate that.
And so to jump straight into it, man, I did a little intro. If you got to see it, I framed it very well though because I did not pick the Padres, but I did say my bias pick was to pick the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
So the Padres upset the Dodgers in 4 games. How surprised are you that they won?
Honestly, I'm shocked. I'm literally shocked because I thought that the Dodgers were going to be kind of like a dream team. And I'll say it's tough. Like we said, it's always tough to go back and do something, more than once. But like for them to lose in 4 games, and I think that wasn't that their first. Was it the first time? I want to say was it 98 or something like that? Where I've seen that. Like it's crazy. Like they're not the team that you expect to actually just go out and just like lose in the fashion that they lost. And so maybe just maybe they just overlooked their opponent. Because even if you listen to the analysts, on game 1, they're talking about, well, yeah, they got these guys, and people talk about people like Machado and et cetera. And I'm like, bro, like it's the Dodgers pitching, hitting, contact hitting. I mentioned they have the contact hitting. They have Clayton Kershaw. So I'm thinking that all these things, when you put them together in a pot, a melting pot, when you say, okay, what are the ingredients for a championship team? They check the boxes, and they had the wins over 111. So like for them to actually just lose it, more so for me in the fashion that they lost, right? Is crazy, man. It's crazy. But hey, what do we always say? No one likes to talk about the losing team, talk about the winning team. So shout out to the Padres, San Diego, man. Hey, I need someone when I go to San Diego sometime, because I don't think I've ever been. I need one of them Padre fans to show me around town, man. Maybe I might become a Padres fan. So,
And the stadium is actually really dope, bro. I got the opportunity to go earlier in the year, not to go to a game, but I was in San Diego.
Around.
And like I'm driving through downtown San Diego, and you can literally like from the street see inside the stadium.
Oh wow!
And it looks real dope, bro. I've never actually been to a game. Like I said, I've never actually been to a game there, but it looks like a really dope stadium. And so it's interesting for me, bro. I'm not gonna spend too much time because I agree with everything you said. I think that all of the talent that they have in prime talent, the season that they had, this flame out reminds you of the Seattle Mariners for 2000. They got Ichiro
taking it back. Ichiro,
they ran through the league and then just got flamed out by the Yankees.
Yeah, I hate the Yankees.
pointed up. I think they won the World Series that year, so it's not like they lost to some scrubs. But
Was that the year that they played the Marlins in the World Series? No, the Marlins won in 03.
yeah,
Marlins won. Yeah,
3.
yeah, Marlins. So I'm thinking another year. But yeah, okay.
And
Go
so
ahead. Yeah.
it is one of those flameouts. Everybody expected them to win.
Mm.
It was funny. So before I go to the next topic, my store manager at work is a Padres fan, and then my trainer is a Dodgers fan. So they was talking stuff, and so the guy that's the Dodgers fan who's above my store manager was like, if the Dodgers don't win, the manager's
Mm.
getting fired. And I was like, yo, oh boy. I was like, yo, he better hope. And then so he stopped because he didn't hear like what I said. He was like, wait, what'd you
Uh-huh.
say? I was like, so you gonna fire the store manager if the Dodgers don't win? And he was like, no.
Wow.
I'm talking about the Dodgers manager. Bro, that joint had me crying, bro. I was sitting there, ribs hurting for like 5 minutes.
All right, all right.
But
That's
on to
crazy.
the next one, man. Your Ravens out
Yeah.
here struggling. The positive side is if you look at the division, everybody's struggling. So
Mm.
at 3-3, they're still in a tie for first place in the division, but they're struggling. They're giving up a lot of points, and they get leads, and then they just fail to keep them.
Yeah.
So it leads to question as the quarterback, and we talked about him being an MVP candidate at one point.
Mhm. Mm.
That argument isn't so strong right now. But how
Right,
much
right, right.
blame falls on Lamar Jackson?
So objectively speaking, Lamar Jackson, let everybody know he is my favorite quarterback of all time. I'll already say it, and the Ravens are my favorite team. But I'm actually going to say 25%. 25% is actually higher than it sounds. A quarter percent of the blame because when you talk about the team game, it's always a collective effort. But when we talk about struggles, we say what struggles. Well, let's start off with the offensive end, the offensive side of the ball. The Ravens have been able to, or they were at a point sustaining leads, getting leads. But then the second half, the offense was being neutralized, right? And so I asked myself, why is the offense being neutralized? Well, the reason why it's being neutralized is one, first and foremost, Rashad Bateman got injured. So these losses that have been happening against the Bengals, against the Giants, we did not have our number one receiver, not named Andrews, because Andrews is technically our number one receiver, but he's a tight end. So Bateman's out, Bateman's gone. And so now you just have receivers that run seam routes. The Ravens offense is predicated simply on guys who run the 9 route, and that leaves Andrews open in the middle of the field between the hashes where Lamar is comfortable in throwing the football. But the problem is you do a single high safety, and then you get these corners, big physical corners to press on the Ravens, receivers, small speed receivers. Now that's easy to take out in the second quarters of games, our second halves of games. Now they're not able to, make the adjustment. Greg Roman, his playbook is minimal, as we talked about. You've continuously said, I've continuously said, everyone's continuously said that they need to diversify the playbook. They run, if you notice, you watch them, we run like 4 plays and then he flips them. So we're running the same 4 plays. We have no run game until King and Drake last game. So we finally had a running back get over 100 yards rushing more than Lamar for the first time this season, and we're week 6. So where does Lamar come into? Well, Lamar comes into starting with the Bengals game, overthrowing receivers that are open. The deep ball has seemed to get away from him. So that's something that he needs to address. And then the next last game, some of the deep ball throws as well. So I feel like his deep ball has gotten away from him. And also we're looking at him playing hero ball at times or feeling the need to play hero ball, whatever, because of however the game's going. And so that's putting too much pressure on him. However, there still is no excuse for you to throw that pick. You just have to take the sack, man. I blame the center for doing a high snap. We had a rookie center. That is unacceptable. Why are you snapping the ball over Lamar Jackson's head? So I feel like everything is a chain reaction right now with the Baltimore Ravens. And then I'll end it with the defense is actually quietly, they've been playing pretty well. They held the Bills to only, what was it, 23 points.
Right.
They held Stephon Diggs and Jamar Chase under like 60 yards. Marlon Humphrey, I guess, had the highest PFF grade for a corner this season. I don't know how it was after last game, But still, you know what I'm saying? So the defense has actually been stepping up quietly. They're frustrated because our offense has gone stagnant. So now they have to go back on the field and then we lose the game. So I think when we look at the offensive coordinator, Ralph, when we look at Lamar Jackson, um, uh, the def- uh, the deep ball getting away from him, not having Rashad Bateman, and then we look at the penalties that happened in against the Giants. I think we got penalized like 7 or 8 times in the first half. So we're showing a lack of discipline on the offensive line now, which is always a cause for concern. So yes, you can get guys back from injuries, you can get pass rushers back, you can get Gus Edwards back in the backfield, but it's a whole collective effort where everyone needs to take accountability, and Lamar Jackson is a part of that as well.
I agree, man. I give him about, honestly, I would give him about 35%. I'd go
Okay,
up.
that's fair.
I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but part of the reason is that as much as I want to go and say Greg Roman needs to call a better game, at some point when it comes down, you kind of got to deal with the plays. And then there are
Mm,
some plays where he's not really getting schemed open, but he could definitely make the play of throwing a better ball in that moment.
yeah.
And I think that those times where he's overthrowing people, underthrowing people on those deep routes is you like you said, he is losing. The deep ball is losing him. So at some point you start to look at his numbers where he's has an under 60% completion percentage
Mm,
in the last 2 games. And it's like these defenses aren't really like we don't think of the Bengals defense as like this, oh my God, I'm scared. Like
nah.
they're good, but it's like they're you can get yards and points on them. The Giants as well. And so with both of those teams, it's like, wow, well, what happened here? And so I do think that Greg Roman will get the rest of it as well as John Harbaugh when it comes to they're able to get these leads, but they're not able to hold them. So somewhere there's an adjustment being made, and they're
Hmm.
catching the adjustment. And that's
Yeah.
the part where I have these arguments with people in this comment section about how good someone is at how good of a coach someone is. Yes,
Mm.
he was able to bring out this offense that got Lamar Jackson an MVP. But then after that, where's the adjustment being made? Because his stats have gone down. Now you can put that on Lamar or you can put that on the offense itself. But I think it's a
Yeah.
combination of both.
Combination.
Everybody
Exactly.
wants to throw Lamar underneath the bus. I think that he has to get better and more accurate as a passer, although he's definitely made
Strides.
his strides. He, like I said, he's not above reproach. Where I think Greg Roman gets the rest of the blame.
I
It's,
agree. Yeah.
next up, college football puts out their top 25 ranking. I'm still irritated. I don't want to keep making this about Ohio State,
Uh-huh.
but I did notice 4 of the top 10 make up SEC.
Mm,
2 of the top 5 is Big Ten.
mm,
Then, then you sprinkle in some Big 12, some Pac 12, and
mm.
then, well, what conference do you think is the best in college football?
I think it's the Big Ten. And thoughts, prayers go out to the Maryland Terps quarterback and the team as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, why we got to be in the Big Ten? I miss the ACC. But then again, if we were in the ACC, we'd be Clemson. But anyway, back to the actual topic, Kai, as they say. I'm going to go with the Big Ten, man, because you mentioned Ohio State. Ohio State, you could say they have arguably the most talented team in college football, but also look at Michigan. Michigan quietly emerging there as well. So I think when I look at those powerhouse teams, I'm looking at some of the teams in the SEC, and some of these teams in the SEC, they look kind of suspect. They look kind of, weird through the lens. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I don't know if you really like that. Georgia, you really like that, man? You had a spark when you started, as Jay-Z would say. I'm not gonna say they're hot garbage, but because that's Georgia. You know what I'm saying? But I came on once again, and I said, man, yo, Ralph, run the table, man. They can run the table. You got a good schedule, man. And then, like, when you're in these close penny ante games and stuff like that, and Florida hasn't been anything since Tebow. So, and then we look at LSU. So I'm gonna actually go with the Big Ten, man. SEC is the popular choice, but I think as thus far for this year. The Big Ten is the conference, and I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, I know you're mad upset with how they do your team, but if your team comes together and continuously, goes like that, they have as good a shot of winning as anybody.
Yeah, I think that it's one
So
of those things where you start to think about, like, if you think about the top
yeah,
five, two out of the top five are Big Ten teams, but then throughout the top 10, even top 15,
mhm.
that's when you start to get more SEC. So I think strength in numbers gives them the better
Edge.
conference,
Okay.
the edge in that. But I do think that when it's all said and done, can Tennessee keep it up?
Mm,
Can Alabama make a way to come back? Because
right.
at the end of the day, I don't think Georgia and Bama play. I don't remember unless they play like
I
in
think the only way they would play is the SEC championship game if it were to come to that. Yeah.
but the
Mhm.
Michigan and Ohio State play every year before the Big Ten championship game.
Right.
So it'll work itself out as far as who's the best in the Big Ten.
Mhm.
Because I think that ultimately that's what it's going to boil down to is who has the better conference because in who has the better team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
so
agree.
to finish up, Coach Prime was on 60 Minutes, which I think is huge considering no HBCU head coach has been on 60 Minutes. But when asked, it was a couple of different things a couple parts of the interview that were pretty interesting and comical to a certain degree. But at the same time, he's making noise in this division two in conference in which he's dominating as well. So now the talks of would you take a Power Five offer? Like I'd at least think about it. I'd be stupid not to. So if he
Mm.
was to leave, would this diminish the impact he's had on HBCU programs?
I don't think it would diminish it. I don't think it would diminish it at all. Because I think once you've made an impact, it's there, right? You can't take that away. You can't take away what you instilled in those young men in those helmets and those uniforms that come to work every single day. What he's been doing for the staff, the the money that he himself has poured into the program as well, the people that he's gotten together for that program and really helped build that program up. So I think he's already made an impact. He made an impact the moment he walked in the door because he changed the culture of that university in terms of from a football standpoint, college program standpoint, right? You get a game that was televised, so I think to say diminish the impact, I think that it wouldn't diminish the impact that he's made. I do understand why he would listen to an offer, and because at the end of the day, regardless of what people want to say, money talks. Money talks, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily saying that he would want to leave, but if anyone is paid a certain amount of bread and you get a chance to work with other, players and et cetera, you can do that. But I don't think that he would leave right away because I think what he said, like when me and you talked about, I just need such and such guys to be able to compete with the Alabamas and all that. I think what he sat up there and said on I Am Athlete, like over a year ago, whatever, is what his first goal is, right? So I think he has a goal, and that's what he's trying to make that impact there. Build that school up where I can say, hey guys, look, this is where we are, and we're going to be able to finally compete against that Power Five school, and et cetera, et cetera. Now you don't have to compete against the best of the best of the best of the best, but if that comes to pass, so be it, and that would be nice to see. But I think that overall, in terms of just would it diminish his impact if he were to leave? Me personally, I'm going to say no, but yeah.
Man, as much as I want to say it, I want to be a hard ass and be like, oh,
It's cool.
he better not ever
Speak your
leave it.
truth.
Selling out. But no, like because I find it I think that how hard he's going for it,
Yeah, yeah.
like better these conferences and their
Mhm.
conditions to shed light on certain things. I
Yeah,
think part of it is because he has to deal with it, so you got to make it better for yourself. But at the
right.
same time, I think that it's one of those things. Like I remember having this conversation with someone, and I was saying that like by the age of 35, I want to 100% be working for myself.
Mhm.
I think that it's good to have goals because most people would be like, "Oh, if I'm hiring you for the next 2.5 years, what am I really getting?" And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, you really only got me for a certain amount of time, but while I'm here, I'm gonna give you 110%. And I
Mm.
think that that's where Prime is in this instance, because I do think that I don't know if he necessarily wants to be at a Power Five school, but I know he wants those Power Five money and resources.
Yeah, Power Five privileges, money, resources. You want to call it that? You know what I'm saying? So,
And so when he was on 60 Minutes, he was talking about how he wants like some billionaire to come invest the money and believe in Prime because look at what I'm able to do and compete with Alabama when it comes to these top players, but I don't have the resources
mm,
that Alabama does. So I do think that if he was able to get those resources that those schools would get, he would. I don't think he would leave. But I think at the end of the day, money talks.
yeah, money talks.
It is what it is. But
More money, like the movie with Damon Wayans. Shut up.
exactly. But we mentioned it before. The NBA season is starting. Cue up the TNT music. But
Yeah. Hey, shout out to your boy Chuck, man, on that contract.
and, they're all. I thought it was almost over, man. I thought we was gonna start
I
seeing like the
know
Dwayne Wades, the Candace
that is
Parker,
true. But you know what? You know what? Do you think the Draymond incident had something to do with it? I don't know. I don't know, man.
It might have. It
Maybe.
might have. But
So
we got to get to it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
NBA preseason award predictions. Who's
Mhm.
winning the Rookie of the Year? Who you got?
Okay, so this is gonna be interesting, right? It's gonna be really interesting. I don't have Paolo Banchero winning it. So I don't have Paolo Banchero winning it. I think it's gonna be a 3-team race.
Not confused. I'm not. I'm not hating
Oh,
on your pick. Depending on
okay.
who, I'm not hating on your pick.
Okay. My initial pick was Keegan Murray, right? Because I believe that his fit is perfect. And I believe the Kings are going to be a play-in team. And I think that because they're going to be a play-in team, he's going to actually win the award. But the reason why I say it all like, like mystical and all that kind of stuff is because there's a dark horse that no one's picking, and 5 players got picked ahead of him, and the odds have those 5 players also ahead of him. So that got picked ahead of him in the draft. He said that he challenged LeBron James. His name is Benedict Mathurin from the Indiana Pacers, ladies and gentlemen. That boy, the Pacers are going to be tanking for Victor Wembanyama, whatever his name is, respectfully, because I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to try it. But they're going to tank for Victor, right? Out of respect, you know what I'm saying? My French brother. And Benedict is going to have so much playing time. And the Rookie of the Year, quite honestly, bro, it's a stat kind of based award. So, but I just think that because the Kings have never done something for so long, I think that would give Keegan the slight edge. So I'm gonna go with Keegan, but I think the sleeper is Benedict. Who you got, bro?
I actually got Paulo Banchero.
I knew it. It's cool though. I'm not mad at it. Hey, that boy nice.
I would agree with you that Benedict
Yeah.
is a sleeper pick.
Yeah, Benedict is cold, bro, too.
Yeah, because he averaged like 20 points a game in preseason.
Bro, if he dunks on LeBron, I'm gonna go wild, bro.
But I'm gonna get. I can't give the award to everybody on that team. Just for
Right.
because I got someone else winning most improved player on that team. So
Okay. Yeah, okay.
my rookie of the year, I got to give it to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So Paulo Banchero, the offensive weapon that he is,
Yeah.
I think that he steps in day one and is an offensive threat on that team. So we'll see what happens with that. But that's who I got as the rookie of the year. I really don't disagree with any of those picks. Jaden Ivey is another one that could definitely be up there and give them a run for their money.
Mm-hmm.
Or depending on his impact on the defensive end.
Jabari?
Yeah, Jabari would depending on what his impact on the defensive end. Because
Yeah,
I think that the way that the team is built, he's able to step in day one and be a 3-and-D, or also even be a big that can grab the rebound and run the break. So I think that he also has the talent to be able to do such a thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think the only thing with Houston that confused me was the contract that they gave Kevin Porter Jr. having a what is it? It wasn't only the first year was guaranteed, I thought that was just weird. You signed him to a 4-year contract, but the first year is guaranteed. And I'm like, it's like, are y'all moving him or something? So I'm gonna monitor that situation. They signed him to a contract, Kevin Porter Jr., I believe. So
I think it's one of those things where like because you even notice like the
yeah.
you ever watch them play?
Mm-hmm.
It's like or watch a team play, and it's like
You got a lot of ISO guys too.
I don't know if maybe I'm tripping, but it's like the person y'all keep pushing up is not better than this person, and I feel
Right.
like the league wants Jalen Green to be that guy.
Yep.
But
Yep.
when you watch, I feel like Kevin Porter Jr. is
that
a
guy.
better player as we speak.
Yeah. And remember, they used to have Christian Wood. They just had the whole mix over there.
Hey, I like KJ though. KJ's balling. I wish I
Yeah.
had him, a guy like that on my squad because that's actually the perfect type of player we need.
Maybe y'all should. That's why I said maybe you guys trade for him this year, bro.
Although Pat Williams is actually showed an improvement over the offseason, which is actually one of his first healthy off seasons. Every year going into the off season, he has some type of injury. So him being healthy, no ankle injury, no thumb injury, no knee injury, like, but that's a whole nother subject.
Bull's like, you healthy enough for us to trade you now, man. No, I'm playing. I'm not.
But I mentioned it before. I'm gonna go off on this one. I think Tyrese Halliburton.
You said Halliburton?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I got him for my most improved player. But before I got another person I think.
Go ahead.
Between them two, him and Brunson, both for the same reason.
I like that.
If you look at their numbers, they're averaging about 16, 15 points a game. Tyrese has a little bit more of an edge on the assist side. So it just would depend on the increase in points as well as can Jalen Brunson bring up his assist number. If the closer he can get to 20 and 10, I think honestly both of them. I think with Tyrese, he's not giving up. He doesn't score as many points on average. So I think him getting to a 20 and 10 or as close to it would make him the most improved player of the year. He's going to get the minutes.
Yeah.
He's the automatic focal point of the offense. He's a young star. Stepped in day one with the Sacramento Kings and was giving them buckets because I had him on my fantasy basketball team last year. Numbers. So with that, it's him, Jalen Brunson. I think that Brunson's getting his ability to show what he did in the playoffs last year, that big contract. So the Knicks believe in him. So can he live up to that type of contract and that type of hype? I think his ability, he's a tough defender, ability to get to the lane and a knockdown shooter. It just depends on can that bunch, can they grow together? Because you already got a Julius Randle who's made an all-star team. You got a young star in RJ Barrett. A lot of people believe. You got Obi.
Adria.
Obi Toppin who can run the floor, play a tough defender. I ain't gonna say he's a lockdown defender, but he's tough.
Right. He can defend
the floor. And then you pull up with a Jalen Brunson at the point. There's some things that can shape with that. I can see it working, but it's the mix. Yeah. So it just is what it is.
So okay.
Who's your player?
So I have a Tyrese as well, but I have another Tyrese. And I'm not talking about the Tyrese that sings Sweet Lady, Won't You Be Mine? Nope, I'm not talking about that one. Shout out to him too, man.
What song are you gonna go with on that
one? But ladies and gentlemen, I am going to introduce from Philadelphia. I'm gonna go with Tyrese Maxey, man. Tyrese Maxey. They talk about emerging as a third guy. Well, quite frankly, he actually already is a third guy, guys. For those who've been watching last season, and I believe that this year he's going to take another leap. He looked this in the preseason. He just looked straight confident. He came in with the same confidence that Jordan Poole had last year, which everyone was like, "Oh snap!" So I think that what's going to happen is the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be the number one seed in the East, and they're going to have a really good team with Shake and Melton, with Daniel House, with PJ Tucker, with you have Matisse Thybulle. Now you have a backup big in Montrez, KRS-One Harrell, as I call him. You know what I'm saying? So you have so much depth and defensive wing pieces, and now you have the scoring punch of Tyrese Maxey paired with your boy Joel Embiid and James Harden, who took the contract, who went to Daryl Morey. He said, I want to win a championship. I'm taking a contract cut on my contract. And they brought in 4 guys. Oh, they also got, I believe, DeAnthony Melton, former Memphis Grizzly. So I think now from the scoring aspect, you put in a guy like Tyrese Maxey, and he's going to be looked to, especially in the playoffs, even though it's not a playoff award. But I think his regular season success is going to translate to the playoffs. And then because 76ers are going to do some things, but we'll get into that later. And then the other guy that I'm going to throw a name out to you is actually one Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is a guy who the Timberwolves, they made the play-in last season, right? Shout out to Pat Bev. I remember him standing on the scorer's table. But Anthony Edwards, they say he Michael Jordan's son, man. I'm like, y'all need to stop doing that. They say he Michael Jordan's son. He looked like Michael Jordan's long lost son, bro. But that dude is like, everyone talked all that talk about him, Ralph, about, oh, well, him saying he loved football more than basketball and at the draft. Man, this dude came out and dunked on somebody. Probably had the dunk of the year, right? Scoring, the dude was hitting the 3. When I look at most improved, I look at your statistical improvement, but I also look at your confidence. It's something that's not on the stat sheet that seems to translate into the award voting. And I looked at the previous candidates, and other ones I was able to X out because I guess they're not either hurt or probably not going to win it. And Tyrese Maxey was there. I think Anthony Edwards is going to make a leap the same way that Ja Morant made a leap. But this time it's going to be for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he's going to emerge as the true star of the Timberwolves team, not Rudy Gobert and not Karl Anthony Towns, but I believe the Timberwolves will be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. So I'm actually going to go with Anthony Edwards as a sleeper to take home the award. He was also on the All-Rookie team last year, Ralph. So there you go. So I think he can definitely potentially add another accolade to his resume.
So the only thing for me, man, when it comes to Edwards and Maxey is so like when I think about it, one of the things for me is like if you're sometimes your development can be like the winning the award can be like impeded by a certain amount of development. So like the one reason why I pick Halliburton versus anybody else, Halliburton's averaging about 15 points a game.
Yeah.
With the amount of looks that I think he'll get, I can see him averaging 21, 22. Can Maxey, who averaged about 19, can he take
another leap? Yeah. I feel you.
Edwards, I don't have his number in front of me. About
Edwards, did he average? I think Edwards averaged like 7. Did he average 17? I think. Let me see. Yeah, but because Edwards actually had a good season.
So can he get to?
Yeah.
Can he take that average and add 6 to it?
So those are all valid questions. The one thing I'll say about Maxey, it's the one issue I guess you could say everyone has about Joel Embiid. The injuries that Joel Embiid seems to endure every season it's like crazy, bro. I'm like, yo, like dude, stay getting hurt. And then we know Harden, right? And so I feel like at some point during the season, even though I believe they're going to stay afloat, I believe that Maxey is going to be a reason why they stay afloat. I think he's going to be kind of, and this is just all of us, like we're predicting, whatever. Once any season starts, so many things happen. But I think that he's kind of going to be forced into a position where he's going to have to take over a larger role, similar to the way Jordan Poole did, right? And remember, Steph Curry, with injuries or him being in a slump, he went into a slump shooting the 3-point shot for like months. And we even talked about it on this show. And Jordan Poole really, really, came to fruition, right? So I think for Maxey, at least for that part, that's where it comes down to. When I look at the Timberwolves, the way they're constructed, you have Rudy Gobert, who said, I want more touches. But, bro, you don't have the offensive games to command and demand the touches. And I look at your points per game anyway. I'm not really worried about you. Karl Anthony Towns is going to be Karl Anthony Towns. We get that. And then you have old boy, who used to be one of the Lakers and the Warriors. I forget his name. D'Angelo Russell, D'Lo. You have D'Lo. So, but Anthony Edwards, he's in the starting lineup. But those are all definitely valid reasonings. For someone to pick somebody else other than those guys. Yeah, absolutely. So
and so up next, almost missed this one out.
Mm-hmm.
We got Sixth Man of the Year,
Mm.
which is an important one. I was going to go straight to Defensive Player of the Year, but with Sixth Man of the Year, I really think it's hard. It's hard pressed to find anybody because it's like nobody really. There's no Lou Williams that sticks out like that. So I think that Jordan Poole, in my head,
Mm-hmm.
is he's the best player coming off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think it would be him. I
Mm-hmm.
could see maybe a Davion Mitchell, depending on how many minutes he gets off the bench and
Mm-hmm.
his impact. I think that who's someone else that I could think of? What was my boy's name?
Got to put them thinking caps on, peoples. You know how they say, put them
Right.
thinking caps
Oh, Malcolm Brogdon for the Celtics coming off the
on.
bench.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would assume they would keep the same lineup. I don't know about moving Marcus Smart back to the bench.
Yeah.
And
See, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brogdon coming off the bench to run, and
Because
it
he
kind
can
of
do both. Rodney can do both.
because he can do both. He could be a
Yeah.
point, and he could be
I like him.
a defender,
Mm-hmm.
amazing, terrific perimeter defender when healthy. And so those three for me, I would. Christian Wood is another one as well.
Mm.
For the foreseeable future to start the season, he will be coming off the bench. So it just
Mm-hmm.
depends on how many minutes some of those people get. But for me, off the rip, Jordan Poole
JP.
is the most obvious, best player. But it just depends on, given health, what do they do with that? But I think his skill set is better suited for him coming off the bench if he's not going to be a starter.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to say first and foremost, bro, I actually love that pick. I think he's a chalk because I think he's obviously the favorite to win it, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it. However, there is a Lou Will type guy. I was waiting to see if you're gonna say it, but he's actually my pick. And apparently he's like kind of the sleeper pick, but I'm picking him because I believe that if they win any award, I think they have a chance to win 2 awards on this team. And we'll get into that probably in I think maybe our next segment or whatever. But a guy by the name of Bones Highland, everyone, Bones Highland coming off the bench. All he does is come off the bench and score now for this team. The reason why is because Jamal Murray is coming back, and so that regulates him to a bench role. And in the preseason, this dude was just drives everything. Look at his highlights from last year. He's someone that the Denver Nuggets truly believe in. And he's I think he has like the 3rd best odds to actually win the Sixth Man of the Year award. But there's other guys that I would definitely not choose. But I heard someone say John Wall. I was like, Ty Lue needs to not bring him off the bench. But that's, I'm like, dude, like you have a guy who, because he said Reggie Jackson's going to start the season as a starter. I'm like, I get chemistry and continuity, Ralph. But when you have a guy who puts pressure on the rim, forces the defense to collapse, now you can kick out to your 3-point shooters, snipers. You have a mid-range game. You have an elite level playmaker for when Kawhi and PG at times get lulled into ISO, your turn, my turn, and you need someone to actually give them a better shot. And you complained about being like bottom 3 in transition points last year. Literally, you vocalized that, and the stats showed it. Why would you put Reggie Jackson when John Wall checks every single box that you just mentioned? But anyway, that's Ty Lue. He's a good coach, but at times he can experiment too much. So I'm like, I wouldn't pick John Wall to come to be the 6th man, but he's coming off the bench. So that won't last long.
I think Reggie Jackson deserves it though.
Well, the thing is with Reggie Jackson, though, the issue with him is I get why you could say he deserves it, but when he came off the bench in the playoffs, the dude was like balling because that's his set role. There's a reason why he wasn't a starter in this league. And Kawhi was like, bro, like his playmaking ability isn't that great, but as a scorer, like, because remember didn't he average like 20 in the playoffs? Yeah. So he's a great scorer, but that team has like so much scoring. Like even PG was like, he's like, we might have too much depth. He said that. He's like, we might have too much depth. So we're going to try to be like the Team USA and like blitz everyone. And then we're going to have people come in because old boy said Norman Powell vocalized that he thought he's going to be a starting 2 guard. I'm like, bro, you ain't the starting 2 guard if PG starting and Kawhi starting. You can't have like, you know what I'm saying? I get positionless basketball, but I'm like, Luke Kennard wants minutes, right? Luke Kennard's your best like 3-point shooter. Then you have Robert Covington. So I agree. Like I get the whole deserving thing. I'm just saying like in terms of like you need someone out there who can really facilitate on that team and not put it in the hands of PG, because when Chauncey Billups was there and all that, they kind of forced PG to be the playmaker because no one else was doing it. I think your two best playmakers last year were what? Nicholas Batum, who plays the 4 in the small ball 5, and then you have Paul George. So yeah, but I get it. But I'm like, I wouldn't at some point during the season, like Ty Lue, you're gonna have to like, but they have enough talent to win games. So, but in the playoffs, don't do that. But Russell Westbrook was supposed to come off the bench as well. That clearly isn't happening because of the injury. But if Darvin Ham, the new Lakers head coach, puts him back on the bench, that's another guy that's going to be a six-man candidate. But I wouldn't vote for it. So yeah, I'm going with you know.
Yeah, but there's some things that are like I think one of the things when it comes to Reggie Jackson,
Yeah,
the John Wall thing is I think that one, Reggie Jackson deserves it.
Mm.
Two, it gives John Wall ain't played basketball in 2-3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that plus if you look at the way that the team is currently constructed,
Yeah.
you're gonna need someone that can either create shots for other people or create buckets for himself. And I think that John Wall can do both, which would get a Norman Powell open for some shots. It would get a Robert Covington open for spot up corner threes. It gives Luke Kennard open for as far as shooters. Where
True, that's true. You're right.
Just because you start the game that way doesn't mean you finish the game that way. Because you can have a PG create offense, but when it comes down to it, in that fourth quarter, PG is not going to be my point.
Okay, got you. I got you. Because you're pretty much saying like, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, because with the thing with the Clippers, like a lot of people say, and even when I look at them, because I've been watching them for so many years, it's like you have a starting 5. Essentially, now that you have John Wall, you have a starting 5 that can come off your bench.
Right.
And then even if you don't have them come off the bench or in the fourth quarter, you could keep them in there. And then you could be like, okay, so we're going to essentially we start Reggie Jackson. Then when the bench unit comes in, you come in with us. And then in the fourth quarter, we take Reggie Jackson off the court and we have you in there to finish out with PG and Kawhi and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Got you. Thank you. Definitely. Thank you for clarifying that. I get what you're talking about, bro.
On to the next defensive player of the year.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. You set that one off.
I'm looking at predictions. I actually think that this is a year where Rudy Gobert
gets it again.
Could not
okay.
Because I still got someone else.
Yeah.
Who's back healthy and who should have already won one. But I think that Rudy Gobert with that team, we already got if they can be a unit that the team itself has a really good defensive efficiency rating, as well as his numbers and analytics and all of that match, and they do well, I can see Rudy Gobert winning one. But I got Ben Simmons because I think that him being healthy, he has a lot to play for, and I think that his impact on the game, if he plays defense at a high level, the Nets play basketball at a high level.
Yes.
And so I think that the success of the Nets is going to be really catered to, is going to go kind of be parallel to how well is Ben Simmons playing on the defensive end. And so Ben Simmons would be my sleeper pick.
Yeah, what's your sleeper, man? It's going to be interesting because this one's, I think this war is a little tough this year, but I like that pick.
If they continue to play defense at a high level, I think Mikal Bridges.
Okay.
Because of how important perimeter defense is, I think if he's able, if the team plays at a high level, defense is good, and he's the best. He's definitely the best defender on that team. So Mikal Bridges for me would be my sleeper defensive player of the year pick.
Okay. So I'll definitely address like the first thing you said. Like I said, I think Ben Simmons is going to be up there. I actually think I'm not saying I'm picking him to win the defensive player of the year award, but I believe he's going to lead the league in assists. Ooh. They got so much shooting on that team, and I believe that the Nets are going to go far this year. But that's a whole nother topic for another day, or another time. And Ben Simmons is going to have a huge part of it. I think people are going to be on narratives this year and not actually really watch games like me and you will be. We will be doing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But shout out to Ben Simmons, man, aka Jumbo Rondo. Yeah, the Defensive Player of the Year award, man, is crazy because I'm like, man, you really can't. Those are some nice picks, bro. Those are some nice picks. Like the last year was, if you look at all the people, right? Like I think the top 3 were wing players, right? And we had some injuries. Bam got injured. Bam, I think he finished like 4th or whatever. Bam's always top 5, but he don't get it. And I'm like, well, then he finally complained about it. I'm like, well, he gonna get it. But now I'm looking at Miami Heat. I'm like, you got rid of PJ Tucker. You got rid of some people who were defensive people. And so while yes, defending 1 through 5 is key, as we'll probably agree, right? And I think I actually think he's the best defender 1 through 5. And he even said, I'm the best. You could probably throw in Draymond and Giannis, so he gave them their credit. But I actually do think it is Bam Adebayo. I've seen enough. Ben Simmons is also one. My bad. He said Simmons and also Aaron Gordon. I realize that you need point of attack defenders, Ralph. If you're not giving it to a wing. So if you give it to a big, you could have the statistics, but you're going to have better statistics if your team defense isn't like what they say. Your team defense isn't weak, because they'll look at that and they'll hold that against you.
Yeah.
And I've heard Giannis, I've heard Gobert. I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think Embiid is going to be in there in that race.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's a bold prediction guy because he can defend.
Yeah.
Right. But I think because they have DeAnthony Melton, they have Tobias Harris, they have PJ Tucker, all those guys. I think I'm going to go with Embiid as a dark horse. And I'm going to go, I want to kind of say like an A. Wiggins kind of guy. That would be cold. That would be cold, though. He might, you never know. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with Mikal Bridges. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tell you and go with Mikal Bridges with Embiid as my dark horse.
Okay.
All right. I had to think that through on this topic, bro. I'm sorry.
Next up, Coach of the Year.
Oh, man.
And, I'm going to piggyback off of something you've been saying.
Okay.
For weeks.
Okay.
So, because they're getting a key player back after giving the Suns a run for their money. And I think that given what he was dealt with, he should have won Coach of the Year last year.
Right.
But Willie Green is my Coach of the Year. I think that you've been raving about how they're a Western Conference basketball team.
Yeah, I love them, man.
A championship contender with Zion back. You got it was like what's the 2.0 Slim Reaper.
Oh, Ingram with the tattooed eye and all that.
And then you got CJ. It just his mid-range game is nasty. He has a smooth game.
Fourth quarter closer.
Right. You got actually 3 closers.
Right. 3
closers.
Valanciunas, the rebound assassin.
Herbert Jones, 3-and-D, locking up, hitting the 3 guy. Alvarado coming off the bench.
Fan favorite, Alvarado.
Light-skinned Pat Bev.
Yep, Jackson Hayes.
You got Jackson Hayes, tough nose. So I think that they're how deep they go is I think that he could take them. I think Willie Green's a good coach who can take them to the next level. And I think Willie Green would be Coach of the Year.
Okay, I believe that because like we talked about, bro. Like when you watch a we all have teams, we all watch sports. Like you ever watch a team or a game or something, you just like feel something. I was like, bro, like I felt like he got everything out of his players. I'm like, bro, I'm watching the Coach of the Year right now, bro. Like, yo, he's gonna win. I told myself he's gonna win that next year. I think the only threat will be, well, not only threat, but there'll be a threat in his own conference and a guy by the name of Chris Finch. I'm not really sold on him, but I believe that the talent is going to be so good and they're going to be like a top 5 team, the T-Wolves. that Chris Finch, who is the favorite to win that, they might be like, hey, well, because Rudy Gobert teams always get up in them standings. So I think it's going to be between Willie Green and Chris Finch, but I'm going with Willie Green.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of another person. Who's the coach of the Kings?
The Kings, Bullethead Mike Brown?
Mike Brown. Mike Brown could be a sleeper pick though.
Yeah, they make that play in.
If they can make the play in,
make that play in, man.
Normally he gets his teams to play defense pretty well.
Exactly. He just can't get them to play offense, but they don't want to listen to him about no offense. It's cool, man. Play that defense.
So up next, the finale. Drum roll.
All right.
MVP.
You going or me going? You going?
MVP. But honestly, bro.
Speak your truth.
I've really been thinking about it. I ended up writing my boy's name down, but I'm like, can he keep up that same intensity 3 years in a row? But you've already mentioned a few of his teammates. We broke down the team itself. How far that team will go. Then Skip Bayless had Sixers and Nets in the Eastern Conference. So I think that with all of those things, although some of those things we mentioned are playoffs, I think that Joel Embiid has with the success of the team, while also being the clear best player on that team.
Yeah.
I think he'll definitely have his name up there. I think Jokic could possibly take a step back as far as statistical things because Jamal Murray's coming back. Highlands is coming into his own. You got Aaron Gordon as well. So I think that although some of his stats might come down, I think that will possibly give Joel Embiid the edge. Plus, does Giannis care enough for regular season awards anymore?
He'll be in discussion, probably.
You got the Lukas, the Ja Morants, the Steph Currys. I really think that
they gonna give it to him. Give it to your boy. He gonna earn that. He gonna get it.
I think Joel will get it.
Okay.
But I also
you got a sleeper?
Not really a sleeper, bro, because if you go and look who's gonna win the MVP and the odds, it's like Luka is everywhere. But
Kyrie, no.
Actually see it happening.
Yeah.
I can actually see it happening, but I just don't know, man. My sleeper pick is Kevin Durant.
hey, he was low-key in there last year, though. We can't even lie, though, about that, but I feel you. Oh, that's a good one, bro. Oh, man. So you going with Embiid and KD as a sleeper. All right, man. And they're going to have to battle each other out in the conference finals. All right, man. Oh, man. I love that lead up, man. So Ralph, nah, you're not gonna hate me, but it's gonna be interesting. The show's gonna be interesting if this happens, bro. In terms of like once the award's given out. I had an MVP pick, and I still have an MVP pick, but then I'm sitting up here and they say the worst lie you can tell is a lie is the one you tell yourself, right? And I picked Zion to win the MVP, and that's not a bad pick, but people always look at, we got to play the games. I get that. But with the international influx and all these stars winning and the big men and it being Giannis, Jokic, we thought, no, it was Giannis, Jokic. People thought Embiid or someone, and then Jokic won it again, right? And then before that, you had 4 point guards. And then before that, you had 2 small forwards or whatever win it, and LeBron and whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking at trends here. So I'm like, we're probably going to get like a power forward, and we'll get like Zion Williamson. They're going to be a top 4 seed. He looks in great shape, 27 point per game score. American, they can push that American now because that matters to like the public, I guess, whatever. And I was like, bro, we're going to get another race between old boy and old boy again. I truly believe it. And Embiid is going to be sick because I actually feel like the voters are going to it's going to come down to health and record and some of the things you said. But I think that they want to almost, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough, Ralph, because it's like I believe the Nuggets are going to have the best record in the West. If they're not one, they're two. So I got that out of the way. I think they're going to win like 58 games. I'm gonna be straight up with you. But he's like the Larry Bird at the big man spot, and the last player to actually win 3 straight MVPs, Larry Bird, bro. I'm like, yo, they really might. You feel what I'm saying? I'm like, they really might go with this and be like, yo, Jokic, y'all gonna be the first dude. Because MJ didn't get it, LeBron didn't get it, but LeBron was. You can make the case because of the D Rose and all that situation. MJ was elsewise. I really think they're probably about to get this dude that third MVP. I'm not gonna say it's set in stone, but you feel me? You know what I'm saying? Now, be like, well, Kai, what about the stats? Here's the thing, because I thought about this. I'm not too concerned about the stats. His stats are going to be fine. He averages like 75 games played when you do like calculations or whatever. It's crazy over the last 3 seasons, which is insane. So he's always healthy. That dude just don't die. He's like Pac's legacy. I don't die, man. I'm still here. I'm Jokic. But but his points per game might dip slightly. But you know what's about to go up? He averaged a crazy amount of assists, but his assists might go up with MPJ, KCP, and freaking Jamal Murray. So I'm like, this dude's assists might go up to like 10, and then his freaking what is it? What you call it? The efficiency? I think his efficiency, which is already high, I think it's going to be kind of like we talked about. I'll use analogy. Lamar's efficiency in the beginning of the season, when you have an O-line and weapons, your efficiency goes up. So I think that overall might be enough where they're like, we're just going to give it to you. But it's going to be a dogfight. So I think it's going to be between who you said, Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, Zion as the American guy. They're going to throw Luka in there, but I think me and you, we talked about it. It's like, I feel like Luka's a great player, but like they're trying to say it until he finally wins it.
Right.
But he's never a top 3 seed, bro.
Right.
And in my sleeper pick, who will never win it, but is going to have an MVP season, and his name will be on my mental ballot, but they won't put it on the actual physical ballot because they're going to hose him. Kyrie Irving, he's in a contract year. I think he's going to play the most games he's ever played. I think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be very dangerous. And I think Kyrie Irving is going to ball out, bro.
MVP worthy?
Oh, yeah. I think him and KD are going to have MVP seasons. But I think all season long, the media is going to be against the Brooklyn Nets. Because they're not going to, and we've talked about it. We've held them accountable, but I feel like they're not going to want to believe what they're seeing. That's all.
That's true. That's true.
And if the Brooklyn Nets crash and burn, we can all delete this tape. We'll end the show like that, man.
So, hey, so next week, did you want to do an episode or make it another half NBA segment where we talk about first team, second team, defense, and our predictions?
Yeah,
let's do that. Who's getting to the championship? Who's going to win?
I'm down with that, bro.
All right, cool. Well, we do got a little bit of time left, but it's all good. We started late. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you follow us on all our socials, like we mentioned before, at KYNGRALPH on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. Make sure you go and add an underscore for Twitter. Go on at J.U.K. Sports Show for the podcast Instagram page. Make sure you like, subscribe, share us if you're really rocking with the show on YouTube as well as Facebook. The He Say She Say all one word channel, the He Say She Say channel. Make sure you go on Instagram, follow Kai for any NBA breakdowns, analysis. Gives really good, in-depth, educated analysis.
Should.
Thank you all for watching, and we out of here.